I think that there's a little bit of a misconception that people who homestead or homeschool kind of do everything from scratch, and that's their entire lives. And so I wanted to bring you guys around for my baby is very excited to be in this video apparently. Opie, Opie. Okay, you gotta be quiet, okay? Nope, you can't grab that. Kind of do everything from scratch in their whole day. Just looks like it looked maybe like on the farm with Little House on the Prairie. But I wanted to show you guys a realistic day of what more juice. Okay, we'll get more juice. I wanted to show you guys a realistic day of what it actually looks like for us. Some of the things that I do make from scratch, and then some of the things that we kind of cut corners or maybe have a little cheat. Or if I'm honest, just do it an easier way. I'm gonna bring you guys along for my day today, and you can kind of see where we take the long route, do the most difficult way, and then see the ways that we don't sometimes. So I'd actually already started my day making breakfast and sending my husband off to work, but as always, I start with a nice little clean, and then it's time to really get on breakfast. I don't drink coffee, but several of my kids do. This particular morning, I had actually made some bagels from scratch. So this is one place that I do really, really love making things from scratch. These are some Kamut bagels, and they are fluffy and so delicious. I've really found that breakfast from scratch is one of the easier things for us to make. I think maybe because I can just set my time that way. The next thing I want to do is go in and kind of get ready for the day. And then it's time for us to start school. It's finally time to start having the fire on, which is really lovely. And we start working on sight words and math, all of the really fun things. This year we mostly just have the 3 middle kids. Of course, the baby's around, and my oldest is around whenever he gets a chance, but he has graduated, and so we are pretty much just focusing on the middle 3 groups. Once we were finished with school today, we decided to go on a little outing. So we went to a thrift store. We were looking for some Halloween costumes, and we did find a couple of fun things. Once we were finished with the thrift store, it was library day. We really love going to the library. Our library is so beautiful and just such great ladies. We really, really love it there. My 6-year-old has been going to reading time there for a couple of years. She's finally outgrown it, and this one is starting to be the age where she can lap sit for story time. So we will probably go do that because we are having the hardest time keeping her occupied and not climbing all over everything. But she's doing great. She's really starting to learn. It can feel really overwhelming to take all of them to the library, but it's a really fun, easy outing to take all the kids to for them to really start to learn. Once we get home, you can see this is where the from scratch portion of the day is kind of taking a detour. So I'm just pulling out some tater tots from my freezer, and then to go with that for lunch I did end up pulling out some grapes and stuff out of our refrigerator too. But we had gone to Wendy's a couple weeks ago and ordered a whole bunch of nuggets that didn't get eaten. And so I stuck them in Ziploc bags and froze them. And so today, along with the tater tots, I'm just putting our leftover Wendy's nuggets on our tray. After lunch, it was time to kind of get started on some food prep. So I have a bunch of black beans that needed to be used or canned. And so I grabbed my canner and started filling some jars. I actually planned for this a little bit better this time because I did soak them overnight. And if you soak your beans, all you have to do is put them soaked in your jars and cover them with water, add a little salt if you want to, and then make sure that you pressure can them at the correct amount of time. I use my electric canner, so it's really easy. You can see back there, I had one that wasn't all the way filled. I don't think you're supposed to do that, but I did it anyway. I can be a bit of a rebel canner sometimes. Like I said, I have this Presto electric pressure canner. I love this thing. It really takes the guesswork out of it, which is really nice. It's time for my kids to get into some of their afternoon things. So I have one of my girls was crocheting. I think the rest of them were sitting around reading. I also had a bunch of these onions that needed to either get used or frozen. And so I decided to freeze them because there's no way we were going to use all of these onions. So I just diced them up, and you'll see how I prep them for the freezer. I like to get kind of a fine dice on there if I can, but I did kind of get lazy at the end because I was crying. While I was doing this, I was actually remembering that I have leeks in my refrigerator. So I went ahead and grabbed those out too, because I knew I probably wasn't going to get a chance to use them before they went bad, and I definitely did not want them to go bad. Leeks are not the least expensive of the produce, and so I want to make sure that those are getting used up. So I also diced those up and put those in a separate bowl. And then to preserve them, there are a couple of things that you can do, but my favorite way, and this is what we do most of the time, is vacuum seal it. I love this vacuum sealer. It has saved us so much money. So I just use it to make bags, and then I just kind of fill them as much as I think we will use for a meal. So about a cup of onions does us pretty well. I think some of these have a little bit more, some might have a little bit less, but for the most part, I have a pretty good idea that there's about a cup of onions in each of these. So I will vacuum seal them, and I will put them in my freezer, and these will be good for a long time. I love to keep these in my freezer because then it makes actually cooking a lot easier. Just sauteing onions before I cook like a meat or something to go in a meal, my goodness, it can make such a big difference. But especially right now because we're going into soup and stew season, so we're going to use these so much. I do always make sure and label them though, because you never want them to go to waste in the freezer because you don't remember what they are. My 6-year-old found a butterfly, so they were trying to nurse it back to health. I do think though it's maybe a little too far gone because it's started to get chilly. But they had a lot of fun playing butterfly vet. Once the beans were done in the canner, I just pulled those out, and I will set those aside until tomorrow and make sure that they are nice and cooled before I take the rings off. And then I will have a few jars of beans ready to go in my pantry. So this was 4 jars of beans for the price of 1 pound of dry beans. So I think I ended up paying about 25 cents per jar, so not bad. At that point, it was time for all of my older kids to go meet my husband at church. It was church night, and so I just had some time with me and the baby. So I did pull this out. This was a really fun little find that I grabbed from the thrift store today. I just give it a nice little clean. I think it's actually supposed to be for like keys and to hold your mail, but I've been looking for something that I can hang up some measuring spoons and measuring cups so that they will be a little bit easier to just grab. And so when I saw this, I thought it was so cute. It has this wheat on it, and because we bake bread all the time, I just thought that it was so pretty. So I grabbed this, quick nail in the wall, and I have a fun place to hang some stuff up. I really love thrift store finds. Since everyone was gone, it was just me and the baby for dinner, so I made her just an easy sandwich, and I reheated some smoked pork that I had smoked on the grill a couple of days ago. Grabbed these rolls that I picked up when I was doing a freezer cooking grocery shop the other day, and made myself a so delicious sandwich for dinner. I am a Miracle Whip girly. I know, you can come at me. I don't know, there's a zing to it that I just really like, especially with a smoked pork sandwich. It's so good. We have been kind of munching on fruit throughout the day, but I did want to go ahead and grab a couple of cherry tomatoes that I added to my plate. You can see I really love to pile that pork on. It is so good. This is one way that I really love to use a really cheap cut of meat, and I made this as a freezer meal. So stay tuned, subscribe, because I will have a video of that up probably next week. And with that, that's pretty much it. Our day is done. The lights are on. The baby's asleep. And I will hang out and wait for the rest of my family to get home from church. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I will see you guys next time.